It's an addiction. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your automotive car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. They're open late Monday through Thursday until 9 p.m. and open early Saturday so you can check it off your to-do list and get on with your day. They also have a newly remodeled service lounge and additional service bay just for Quick Lane oil changes. Quick Lane at 15 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. Come see why life is better in the Quick Lane. QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck. That's QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Signs and Ship, the official printing source of the Sports Fix. Locations in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Florida. Find out more at signsandship.com.
News break.
I'm Christine Lisi. At this hour, Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo will be making the trip to London. Will he play Sunday against Jacksonville? Owner Jerry Jones told the Dallas Morning News they wouldn't fly him to and from London if they weren't planning on playing him. Romo missed yesterday's loss to the Cardinals with 2 small fractures in his back. Eagles quarterback Nick Foles out indefinitely with a broken collarbone. Too early to give a specific timetable on how long Foles will be sidelined. Eagles linebacker D'Amico Ryans will have an MRI today to determine the severity of his injured Achilles. The Colts get back receiver Reggie Wayne and cornerback Vontae Davis from injury on Monday Night Football against the Giants. Kickoff 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. New York running back Rashad Jennings and defensive lineman Cullen Jenkins are both out. NBA, Kobe Bryant addressed what he called some chatter that he should ask out of L.A. and play for a contender at this stage of his career. Bryant told Yahoo Sports he's extremely loyal to the Lakers and believes it's his responsibility to get them to be the best they can be. Los Angeles is 0-4 for the first time since the 1957-58 season when the franchise was located in Minneapolis.
The cold weather is on its way. Are you ready? Head to Dick's Sporting Goods to get everything you need to stay warm this winter. Whether you're bundling up the kids or hitting the slopes, Dick's has great deals on all top outerwear brands. Every season starts at Dick's.
You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock back with you guys as we get the show rolling on. Don't forget, Hour 2, Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan going to join us. We'll talk some Browns, Buckeyes with him. Get ready to set the stage for Michigan State coming up and so much more. But coming up next, John McMullen from the Sports Network going to be on the hotline here. So, guys, you can't call in. You can keep the conversation going on Facebook and Twitter and email. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. And going back through, by the way, I still haven't found that year. I know I got to go back. I'm digging for the last time the Browns blocked a punt and a field goal in the same game. Last Browns blocked field goal, you've got to go back nearly 5 years. You got to go back to Shawn Rogers back in early 2010, but we'll talk about that some more as we roll on. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk some football. Browns football and beyond. A big week around the NFL, some big matchups and some injuries too. We, of course, say that a lot, that Injuries create next man up and opportunity, but they still stink, especially when there's some of the star players and some of the key players for teams' championship hopes. We're seeing some of that as the season gets to that midway. McMullen from the Sports Network. John, how you doing this Monday afternoon?
Doing well, Jerry. Thanks for having me.
Well, as always, thanks for being here, and a lot of football, a lot of good football going on this week. And I was joking about, and only half joking because I'm a little hot, I mean, only in Cleveland can we have more wins than they've had except for one season in their return, and boo the offense at points of yesterday's games in the middle of a victory. I know fans are allowed to do what they got to do and all of that, and I'm cool with that, but at the same time, man, come on, man. Like, can't we just have nice things, as the expression goes? And I'm joking. I equate it to having the car broken down in the driveway, and we're worried about what rims and a paint job we're going to put on it. Meanwhile, the car hasn't started for 15 years. We're already going, man, I can't take that.
Well, on one hand, it's good to be talking about style points, because if you're talking about style points, that means you're winning games. So
that's it.
On one hand, it's good, but on the other hand, I understand where you're coming from, and the fact that sometimes you have to win ugly, and sometimes you do win ugly, and winning pretty counts the same as winning ugly. It's still a win. So you have to look at the big picture, and the big picture says the Cleveland Browns are out of the cellar in the AFC North, a division where every single team is over 500, and there's a big game coming up on a short week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Cincinnati, that's going to be big here. And really, I mean, I like it. Cincinnati, Cleveland, obviously the natural rivalry. But, if you're going to try, we've said it all along. You can do other things, but this division's won in the division. You don't do anything if you don't win these games here. And here's a chance to go out there and do that here. But before we look to Cincinnati, I think in the second half, the Browns kind of learned from their mistakes in the first half as far as some of their offensive execution. I think Brian Hoyer even talked about a couple of specific plays that they reran in the second half, and that they found the open guy that they didn't have in the first. So good to see there. Clearly there was an improvement offensively in the passing game, but they're relying nearly exclusively on it, because still, since the loss of Alex Mack and the changes of the offensive line, and really there were 2 weeks of changes, so you've only had a couple of games with the same grouping now together, and it's still a work in progress as far, if that's being nice, as far as running the ball. Yesterday, again, a less than 2 yard per rush average. That leads to tighter coverage on the receivers. That leads to more pressure. We saw McCoy having his way with Nick McDonald yesterday, and really forcing a lot of changes in the runs, changes in the looks at the reads, because the quarterback was clearly under pressure early. That's not going to change, although I do believe, tell me what you think that offensive line will continue to gel, only going to be capped by the talent. I mean, I don't know center, but cover each other's weaknesses a bit more as each week goes by.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the problem started with Nick McDonald trying to block Gerald McCoy. And,
yeah.
I understand. We talk about this every week, and I understand people look at the teams on the schedule and they say, well, Tampa Bay stinks. And, maybe that's correct. You can't say much else against a team that's 1-7. But Gerald McCoy doesn't stink.
No.
He might be one of the best 2 or 3 defensive tackles in football. He's that good. He signed a long term ago. He is a tremendously talented player, and that was a bad matchup for him. And that was the issue. And Nick McDonald couldn't block him. So at that point, you have to figure out ways. You have to help, and it affects the entire offense when you can't get things up front, get things done up front. So each and every week you look at particular matchups. That was one that didn't favor the Browns this week. But, you can go into a team that looks good on paper and you might not have as bad a matchup boy type player. So it's not always as black and white as it looks on paper. I think every issue they had offensively stemmed from that one fact, the fact that Alex Mack wasn't there, and they had a very difficult time with Gerald McCoy. And the good news is they won the football. Sometimes you have to overcome these issues. And too many times in the past, obviously Cleveland has not won these types of games. Now they're starting to.
Right. There's no doubt in my mind. This team last year, as they went, 1-7 or whatever down the stretch and just absolutely folded. This team loses this game. They fixed last week. It may have been one of those terrible losses we talk about that were not only bad but boring. I mean, that's the difference. And I think you hit it right there on the factor that into the equation. And I think this week here with Cincinnati, we've been talking all season long about measuring yourself, little measuring sticks. How do you do home opener and on the road and in the division and a trap game and all of that? Here's one, 17 now, road divisional losses. The Browns have shown in the last few years that they can win some of these divisional games at home. Going to Cincinnati and doing that will be the next test of seeing how you can go down there and compete down in the jungle.
Yeah, because it's a real difficult place to play, obviously. You're talking about a team that's 13-0-1 in their last 14 in the regular season at home. So, and it's a short week, so it's double tough because you don't have that preparation time. At least it's not a big trip. That's the one thing you look at it and say, at least you're not going across country or anything like that on a short week. So, it's obviously a chance to, as you said, take your temperature, and the fact that not too many people are able to go into Cincinnati and win. Probably should have been 14-0 if Mike Nugent makes a chip shot field goal against Carolina a number of weeks ago. So very difficult place to play. Another tough matchup up front because Geno Atkins is back and it's starting to get some of his mojo back. So you're going to have some of the same issues you saw this week as far as things go up front. And we've talked about it dating back to the injury. I don't think people appreciated Alex Mack as much as they should have. Now they're starting to. Because, the thing about great offensive linemen is you don't notice them that often because they're not getting beat and you're paying attention to the skill position players and you're not watching things going on up front. And then when a guy like that goes down, you say, oh, wow, we can't run the football. Gerald McCoy's blasting through the middle. What's going on here? And that's what happens. And I don't think enough people understand just how important it is. And not only Mac, we constantly talk about Joe Thomas and how good he is performing this season.
Yeah, I laugh when you mention that because he was literally picking up McDonald and carrying him to the quarterback on some of those plays, man. He was like, "Hey, you want to come with me? Come on, I'll show you what it looks like, man." It was amazing, man. So, and I'll give Wes credit. And you know what? This is why I'm cool right now, even though I think the Crow, I love him. I love Crowell, but him missing the last two games due to the ball protection issues. I look back to West. 2 weeks ago, West sits out. One of the main reasons that he was benched was because the coaches did not like his effort when he wasn't the guy running the ball. He wasn't picking up blocks. He wasn't doing that. Well, look, 2 weeks later, he gets back in. He gets those reps back. He picks up not one, not two, but three big blitzes yesterday, including the biggest one on that touchdown pass where Hoyer was about to get decleated, and we may have seen Johnny Manziel sooner than anybody expected. And here comes West. He steps up and takes that big block. That's what I'm saying is by being pulled out, he learned, hey, man, if I don't block, I'm not going to play. And I know I want Crowell to play, but to me, it's the same thought. Like, man, I put the ball on the ground. I didn't play for the next 2 weeks. Other players are seeing that too, going, hey, man, I don't want to fumble the ball and miss games either. So maybe the way Mike Pettin is managing this is actually good, and people are just getting all bent out of shape for the wrong reason, because I'm telling you, 2 weeks ago, West was out because he's not blocking, and now he picks up the key block that sets up the touchdown pass